Hello student. So today again we will discuss another topic which is electric flux, which we have some idea in our last lecture. What is electric flux? So electric flux is the represented by phi E. Okay, so the electric flux through any surface placed in an electric field E is defined as the total number of electric field lines of force passing through that surface. Okay, if we consider any surface through which electric field lines of force are crossing, so the total number of electric field lines crossing through that surface is known as electric flux. Okay, if the electric field is uniform and the plane surface area S is held normal to the direction of the electric field E, like we have in this field in this figure, okay, where electric field is normal, held normal to the surface, okay, in that, then the electric flux will be given by phi E will be, in that case phi E will be nothing but simply E into S. Okay, and whenever the plane area S is not normal to the electric field, then the electric field is given by, it is given by phi E is equal to E dot S, okay, which will become E S cos of theta. Okay, like in this case, okay, in this figure, when the applied electric field is not normal to the surface, okay, surface is like this and its normal is in this direction, but the electric field direction is this. So there is an angle between electric field direction and normal vector, say it is theta. Okay, due to that phi E will be defined as E dot S vector, dot product of area and electric field. Okay, so this is the general case where we have considered electric field to be uniform. Okay, but in general electric field need not to be uniform, it can be non-uniform as well. Okay, also the area which we have considered in this case is a plane area. Okay, it need not to be plane always, it can be curved. Okay, so now if we consider a general case, okay, suppose we have an area S, large area S, which we divided that area into large number of small area elements. Okay, and each small area is taken to be so small such that the electric field within that small area remains constant. Okay, that means the electric field within that small area is uniform. Okay, and this element may be taken as, and the area element is also so small that we can take that area element as a plane surface. Okay, so consider one such element of area, small area ds. Let E is the uniform electric field on this element. Okay, E be the uniform electric field on this small area element ds. So the small electric flux through this area element will be given by this d phi E will be E dot ds. Okay, which can be rewritten like this: d phi E over is equal to E dot n cap ds, where n cap is the unit vector normal to the area ds. Okay, then the total electric flux through area S is obtained by adding the contribution given by the all small area elements. Okay, that means we can calculate total phi E will be summation of E dot ds, summation of all area elements. Okay, in summary, in summation of right hand side, in summation of right hand side, if ds is so small, if ds approaches to 0, that means the small area segment is exceedingly small. Okay, in that case this right hand side summation will changes into surface integral. So we can write this phi E as this: phi E is equal to surface integral of E dot ds, or surface integral of E dot n cap ds. Okay, now this is how we define electric flux. Okay, which is the surface integral of electric field over, and this electric flux can be positive, negative or 0, because phi is defined as dot product of E dot ds, okay, which we can rewrite like this: phi E is equal to surface integral of E ds cos of theta. So depending on theta, okay, depending on angle between electric field and the normal to the surface, okay, normal to the surface, the electric flux can be positive, negative or 0. Okay, so in order to explain the case of positive, negative or 0 electric flux, consider the fields due to positive charge. Positive charge means for Q greater than 0. For this, we know electric field lines are drawn outward, okay, and for negative charge Q less than 0, the electric field lines are coming to the point, okay, inward, as shown in this figure, okay. So in this case, in the first case, you see the angle between electric field and the surface which we have considered is theta, okay, and this angle is an acute angle which is less than 90. But in case of negative charge, when electric fields are coming inward, okay, and the area vector is outward normal, okay, in that case this theta angle is obtuse angle, means more than 90 degree, okay, and because of that this cos of theta will have positive and negative value, corresponding to which we will have positive and negative electric flux, okay. And for the case of 0 electric flux, we consider this example where we have an uniformly cylindrical closed surface, okay. In this case, we consider this surface. We want to find the electric flux through this area element which is shown in this figure, okay. So for this curved surface of this cylinder, the normal is outward, okay, and the electric field is along this, say, x-axis. So the angle between area vector and the electric field is 90 degree, okay, and because of that, when we calculate the flux through this curved surface, because angle is 90, so cos 90 is 0, so the electric flux through this curved surface will be 0, okay. So this is how we will calculate the electric flux, okay. And now we will come to another important topic, which is concept of solid angle, okay. The normal angle we are all aware, okay, but this solid angle is also very important in case of electrostatics or in case of whenever we deal with 3 dimension, okay. So we'll start with this solid angle. So consider a finite portion AB of a surface, okay. We have a surface, and out of that surface we have considered a small portion AB, okay, and imagine all the boundary points of this portion are joined to a point O, as shown in figure, by the straight lines from a cone with origin O as apex, okay. Let us now imagine the large number of spheres drawn with O as center and having different radii, okay. Considering O as center, at different radii we have large number of spheres drawn, okay, and out of all such spheres, consider one such sphere of radius r, and the area CD of that sphere is intercepted by the cone, okay. This CD is the area intercepted by that particular sphere of having radius r, okay. Then it is always found that the ratio of the area of any sphere intercepted by the cone to the square of the radius of that sphere has a constant value. What it means the sphere which is cutting to that cone, okay, the area of that sphere which is cut by that cone, okay, the area of that sphere intercepted by the cone to the square of the radius of that sphere, that ratio always has a constant value, okay, and this constant value is independent of the radius of the sphere, okay. So this ratio of area intercepted by the cone to the square of the radius is known as the solid angle. okay, and it is given by omega is equal to area by radius square, so S by R square. This is how we define solid angle. Okay, this is a very important definition of solid angle. How do we define solid angle? It is nothing, it is but the ratio of the area intercepted by the cone to the square of the radius of the sphere is called the solid angle. Okay, so the dimension of area and r square are same, both are length square, so the solid angle has non-dimensional quantity, it do not have any dimension. Okay, then we'll move further for the special cases. Suppose we want to calculate the solid angle subtended by a hemisphere of radius r at the center of the sphere, and it is given by omega is equal to S by R square. So we are considering hemisphere. So for the case of hemisphere, what will be the area? It will be 2 pi R square by R square. So the angle subtended, solid angle subtended by that hemisphere will be 2 pi. Similarly, if you want to calculate the solid angle subtended by the sphere itself, okay, then as you know the area of the sphere will be 4 pi R square. So again this R square will cancel out and we will left with 4 pi. Okay. And third case is this: suppose we have a surface area AB which is not normal to the radius R of the sphere drawn. Okay, the area which we have considered is not normal to the radius R. Okay, then the value of the solid angle will be different as shown in figure. Okay, let A be subtend an angle omega at point O with O as the center and radius equals to R. Draw a sphere which cuts the boundary line of the cone at A and C as shown in figure. AC is the area of the sphere intercepted by the cone. Okay, it is clear that this angle BAC, this angle BAC will also be theta. Okay, so this angle BAC will also be theta angle. Okay, so from the definition of solid angle, omega will be area AC over by R square, because AC is the area subtended by that sphere. Okay, so area AC, this AC now can be written as, this will be nothing but this will be AB cos of theta. Okay, so omega will become this value, omega will become S over S into cos of theta by R square. Okay, so this is how we will define solid angle for in any general case. Okay, so now we'll come to very important topic, which is Gauss law. Again, this topic is very important, not only your exam point of view, this university exam point of view, but also in general also if you are interested in physics. So how do we define this Gauss law? It states that the total electric flux through a closed surface is equal to the 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed within the surface, where epsilon 0 is the permittivity of vacuum or the free space. Okay, so mathematically the electric flux will be surface integral of E dot n cap ds. Okay, this is how, this we have already done, how we define this electric flux, but this electric flux will be equal to the charge enclosed by that closed surface by epsilon 0. This is what Gauss law says. Okay, this is the statement of Gauss law. So now we will prove this statement. So for this, consider a single point charge plus Q situated at a point O surrounded by the closed surface S. Okay, and in general S may not be spherical. In plus 2, if you remember, we have proved this Gauss law for a spherical symmetry, but here we are considering general case. Okay, for Gauss law it is need not to have spherical symmetry always. Okay, the condition is that we need to have a closed surface. Okay, and that closed surface can have any symmetry or any geometry. Okay, so let P be a point on the closed surface S, which is this point. Okay, and imagine a small area ds around this P. The magnitude of intensity of electric field at P will be this. that intensity will be given by this 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r square. Okay, so the small electric flux through area ds will be this thing, E dot n cap ds or E ds cos of theta. Okay, where n cap is the unit vector normal to ds and theta is the angle between electric field and the surface normal. Okay, so the total electric flux through this closed surface will be integral of this. Okay, which we can rewrite like this: phi e will be surface integral of E ds cos of theta, and this E we have just calculated is q over 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. Okay, now substitute value of E in this, and this integral will become this value. Again, this 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 and the fixed charge, they are constant, so they can be taken outside the integral. So what we are left with, the total electric flux will be q over 4 pi epsilon 0 integral of ds cos of theta by r square. Okay, now this value, the ds cos of theta r square, what it is nothing but the d omega. Okay, this is the solid angle subtended by that small area at point O. Okay, and what we are calculating, we have integral of this small solid angle over that complete surface. Okay, so the solid angle over that complete surface will be what? It is nothing but the total solid angle, which is 4 pi. Okay, so now substitute this value of 4 pi here. The total phi e will be q over 4 pi epsilon 0 into 4 pi. So 4 pi will cancel out and we will end up with q over epsilon 0. Okay, which is nothing but the statement of Gauss law, which says the total electric flux through any closed surface will be equal to total charge enclosed by that surface divided by absolute permittivity of that surface, that medium. Okay, so now again further consider, if we have several charges q1, q2, q3 positive and then minus q1 dash, q2 dash negative charges are there inside a closed surface. So each charge would contribute to the total electric flux. For positive charges, electric flux, as we already know, will be outward direction, and for negative charges, the total electric flux will be in inward direction. Okay, and the total flux will be the summation of all these charges, net flux. Okay, that can be written as phi e will be 1 by epsilon 0 plus q1 plus q2 plus q3, then minus q1 dash minus q2 dash minus q3 dash up to n charges which we have. Okay, then phi e will be 1 by epsilon 0 summation of q. Okay, which is nothing but the total charge enclosed in that surface. Okay, so q will be, capital Q will be the algebraic sum of all the charges. Okay, so how we write this total electric flux? This will be surface integral over the closed surface E dot n cap ds will be equal to q by epsilon 0. Okay, so this is the mathematical statement of Gauss law, which is very important, which we will use in our coming lecture quite frequently. Okay, so earlier, see what we did in this lecture. First we defined the electric flux. How we define that electric flux? What is that? Means it is the total number of electric lines of force crossing that surface. Okay, but how to calculate that? How to measure that electric flux? Okay, that will be given by this statement of Gauss law. Okay, two things are there. One, how do we define that electric flux? One thing. Then how do we measure that electric flux through any surface? Okay, so for the measurement we need to know the total charge enclosed by that surface and the permittivity of that medium in which we are calculating the electric flux. Okay, so thank you.